How's it going, troops? Jordan here, back again with another Black Ops Cold War loadout video. Once again we're going to be recreating another popular movie setup, and this one is going to be based off the film Aliens. So make sure you give this video a thumbs up and hit subscribe, and let's jump right in. With this Aliens loadout, we're going to be playing as a Colonial Marine ourselves, as we join Ripley and the other Colonial Marines and do our best to survive against the hordes of Xenomorphs. Because we're basing this setup off the Aliens movie, our playstyle for this loadout is going to be roleplay. And given the futuristic weaponry and equipment choices we're going to make with this class setup, I've labelled today's loadout difficulty as moderate. Starting off with our primary weapon, we're going to select the newly added CARV 2. The CARV 2 recently came to multiplayer as part of Season 3 Reloaded, and is a made up weapon based off Heckler & Koch's G11 design. In the Aliens movie, the Colonial Marines used a futuristic M41A pulse rifle. Obviously this is a fictional weapon in the Aliens universe, so we're going to have to look at what weapons look similar to it. With Cold War being set in the 80s, it makes it difficult to choose something that looks far future. But thanks to the addition of the CARV 2 in multiplayer, this weapon has that perfect look and shape to the pulse rifle. It does fire in 3-round bursts though, so we've just got to put that trait to one side. As always, we're not going to go in bare bones, so let's take a look at some attachments we're going to equip for our pulse rifle. Our first attachment is going to be the mounted flashlight. Flashlights are seen attached onto the Marines' helmets, so they can see better in those dark corridors. There's also a part of the film where Ripley attaches one of these flashlights onto her pulse rifle, so that's why we're going to choose that. Our next attachment is going to be the Salvo 75 round fast mag. The pulse rifle can carry up to 99 rounds in each magazine, but the Marines tend to go with just 95 in the event of the weapon jamming. We don't quite have a 95 or 99 round magazine for the CARV 2, so we'll just have to go with the highest option available, that being the 75 round salvo. Our third attachment is going to be the speed tape. And the speed tape just decreases the time it takes to aim down our sights, making us feel more like a Colonial Marine. And for our fourth and final attachment, we're going to go with the Raider pad. We don't have any collapsible stock options available for the CARV 2, but we do have the Raider pad, which gives the stock a more hollowed look and further blends that pulse rifle design throughout the weapon. Plus it comes with the added benefits of sprint to fire faster and faster aim walking movement speed. So now that we've discussed our primary weapon configuration, it's time to move on to our secondary weapon of choice for this loadout. For our secondary weapon, we're going to choose the Howard 77. The Ithaca 37, which we know from Black Ops as the Stakeout, was another primary weapon seen wielded by the Colonial Marines. We see Hicks carry the Ithaca on his back, as he likes to keep it handy for close encounters, and halfway through the film he wields it in his hand in anticipation of the Xenomorph threat. So we'll equip ourselves with the only pump action shotgun in Cold War, that being the Howard 77. We're not going to go in bare bones though with this shotgun, so let's choose some attachments to recreate that Ithaca. Starting with our first attachment, we're going to choose the Stanag 8 round tube. This extended tube will give us 4 extra shells that we can pump into those Xenomorphs, just like how Hicks in the film shouted "eat this" before blowing out the head of one. And lastly, for our second attachment, we're going to remove the Howard stock. The Ithaca in the movie is seen with no stock, so we're also going to go with no stock for our Howard. So now that we've discussed our primary and secondary weapon configurations, it's time to move on to our wildcard and perk setup. For this setup, we're going to select the perk greed wildcard. None of the other wildcards are going to benefit us with this loadout, so we might as well go with perk greed, which will allow us to choose an extra perk from each tier. So starting off with our 2 tier 1 perks, we're going to choose both Paranoia and Flak Jacket. Ripley and the Marines took caution when entering the Nostromo, as they knew Xenomorphs were last seen there. Paranoia provides us with a yellow indicator, which will let us know of any Xenomorphs creeping up on us. As for Flak Jacket, the Colonial Marines were dressed in military clothing and futuristic body armour, so we can go with a Flak Jacket perk to mimic this. For our 2 tier 2 perks, we're going to select both Gearhead and Tracker. Gearhead lets us earn our field upgrade much quicker, and we'll talk more about that a bit later. As for Tracker, Ripley uses a tracking device to locate where Rebecca is, after a Xenomorph captured her, and so we can kind of replicate this in game by using Tracker to see the enemy's footsteps. And finally, for our 2 tier 3 perks, we're going to go with both Ghost and Ninja. Ghost is going to help keep us off enemy radars while on the move, and we can use one scene as reference where Ripley, Rebecca and the other Marines stay on the move by running through corridors and crawling through vents to escape from the Xenomorph horde. And as mentioned, our last perk is going to be Ninja. When the Colonial Marines first entered the Nostromo, they cleared each room and checked each corner as quietly as can be, so we can go with Ninja to replicate this. Moving on now to our equipment and field upgrade. For our lethal equipment, we're going to choose the Molotov. Fire is popularly used in the Alien film franchise to burn the xenomorphs and scare them into retreating away, so we can use the Molotov to reference this. As for our tactical equipment, we're going to go with the stim shot. Although it's not quite the same, Ripley goes into stasis at the end of the first Alien film, and in its sequel she is picked up and rescued 57 years later, still in stasis. Being in such a cold state over time allows her body to heal and recuperate for when she awakes from a long journey, so we can go with the stim shot to kinda mimic this. And lastly, for our field upgrade, we're choosing the field mic. One of the more cool pieces of equipment seen in the Aliens movie has to be that M314 motion tracker. This heartbeat-like scanner is used by the Colonial Marines to identify any unknown movement ahead from the static background. We don't have such a device in Cold War, but we do have the field mic, which uses sound waves to depict red dots on our minimap, so we'll go with that as our field upgrade. So now that we've talked about our equipment and field upgrade, it's time to finish off this loadout with our score streak selection. For our first score streak, we're going to choose the flamethrower. The flamethrower is another iconic weapon from the Aliens franchise, and again is used to burn and heat off xenomorphs away from the crew. As of this video, the flamethrower is not available to select in Cold War multiplayer, but it has been leaked in the game files in the past, and we've seen the flamethrower in some of the official screenshots for each new season, so it's inevitable that the flamethrower will arrive at some point. For our second score streak, we're going to choose the sentry turret. Sentry turrets were seen used in the extended cut of the film, where they were set up by the Colonial Marines to kill the hordes of attacking Xenos, so we're going to go with the sentry turret. And finally, for our third score streak, we're going to go with the death machine. We're going to reference the death machine to the M56 smart gun, which is an advanced light machine gun and another iconic Aliens weapon that has automatic targeting capabilities. While the death machine doesn't have these targeting capabilities, it's roughly the same size and weight of the smart gun, and is also operated with two hands, so that's why the death machine will be our third and final score streak. So troops, that wraps up my Aliens loadout video for Black Ops Cold War. Next time you boot up Cold War multiplayer, definitely give this class setup a try in game, and pulse blast those xenomorphs back to prime. If you did enjoy this loadout video, then give the video a thumbs up, I would appreciate it a lot. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, then why haven't you? Hit subscribe right now and also click the bell notification icon next to it, so that way you're always notified as to when I make an upload. If you have any friends who might be interested in this sort of content, then share the video around with them to help give my loadout videos and my channel more widespread exposure. And if you want to see behind the scenes previews of my loadout videos, you can follow me on Twitter at jordanxbrookes for all the latest on there. So until the next video, I thank you all for watching, stay true to me troops, and I'll see you in game.
Game over, man. It's game over. What the fuck are we gonna do now? What are we gonna do?